Welcome, everybody, to the Kingdom Dream Chasers podcast. So, we have been in a series around sales, and we've dug into different perspectives and mindsets and heart postures. And we've talked about sales processes and strategies. And we've talked about 2-letter words and 3-letter words and 4-letter words. And we're wrapping up this series with a sales expert. I have the privilege of introducing you to Tasha Smith. I'm going to go ahead and let her say hello. There she is. Go ahead and say
Hi,
hello.
everyone.
There's Tasha for our audio people. And so I'm going to honor her. She is, blessed my life in so many ways. She's come in and trained for my clients. She's blessing my clients in so many ways. And I want to honor her by reading her bio to you. And then we're going to jump in just to a really fun conversation to have a sales expert right here. And I'm going to try to um, get into your hearts, which I do often as you're my people. So I'm going to get into your thoughts and mindsets, and I'm going to try to ask from what I think is your perspective some questions of Tasha. So here we go. Tasha Smith is a highly sought after business coach, speaker, author, and the visionary behind Emerge Sales Training, where the mission is to empower non-salespeople. Can we get an amen there? Non-salespeople with the skills and confidence to excel in sales without compromising their values. All right, that's touching our buttons, isn't it, girls? Okay. So with over 24 years of experience in sales and leadership, Tasha brings a wealth of experience and a unique approach to sales training that focuses on building high trust relationships. And isn't that what we all want, right? Those women that are really trusting us to help them with whatever product or service that we're offering. So, over the past 8 years, she and her team have trained and coached, wait for it, over 9,000 clients to create thriving businesses full of confidence, profit, and, in all caps, joy. To date, Emerge Sales Training has sold over, wait for it, $5 million in coaching and training using the strategies that Tasha teaches. And I just want to put a pin here and just point out, nobody sells $5 million in courses and training if they don't have a high value process and skills that is getting results. So, ladies, lean in. All right. So she's known for her empathetic and down to earth coaching style. Tasha makes sales accessible to those who may not see themselves as traditional salespeople, such as coaches, consultants, freelancers, and network marketers. Tasha motivates and inspires individuals to take purposeful action. Her authentic, hilarious, and honest style make her a powerhouse of a speaker with a deep connection to her audience. Tasha lives in Southern California with her husband, Charlie. I don't know if I've told you, but my middle son is Charlie.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
Daughters, Zoe and Haley, and her 2 dogs, Piper and Buttercup. She can be found playing old lady basketball. Oh, don't let her fool you. She's a serious basketball player. Eating tacos. We all love tacos, right? Or watching funny sitcoms. All right. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I just get a little embarrassed at that intro. My business partner wrote it. I'm like,
I think all bios are embarrassing, but you know what? I had a coach one time say, if you don't tell them, you're
yeah,
actually removing what they need in order to lean in,
yeah, I agree with
right?
that. I
In
agree
order
with
to
that
lean in. So that
philosophy.
really helped me. It's like, oh, I'm taking something away from them they need in order to lean in and hear what we've got. All right.
Mhm.
So I'd love to kick it off, Tasha, with maybe what do you currently see going on? You've been in the direct sales and network marketing
Yeah, I
industry for
have.
a long time.
Yep,
You have worked with women coming out of that industry into
yep.
coaching. So what are the kind of trends and maybe things that you're kind of seeing that might seem a little bit new?
Okay. So are we good with real talk?
Oh, come on, bring it, right, girls? We
All
want her
right.
to bring the real talk.
So the biggest thing I'm seeing in network marketing is this is so dramatic. First, the changing socialization patterns
Hmm.
and the low retention due to sales made on social media. Where would you like me to start?
Ooh, okay. Well, you got to explain that first one.
The first one. Okay. So in network marketing is a business of how many people do you have on your team that are enrolling at least one person. Well, the network marketing leader is like, I just want the really committed people. The actual game you're playing is how many people are enrolling someone. then a percentage of those are your highly committed, but it's all statistical, right?
Yes.
So, Sarah Robbins, she was the master distributor of Rodan and Fields, although, but she wrote in her book, when she interviews $1 million earners, she will say that 80% of they've all sponsored 100 builders at least, and 80% of their income comes from 3 of them.
Wow.
But it's still, so people are like, how do I bypass that to get to that 3%? I want to not play the game.
Right.
But you don't end up, that actually doesn't happen. You have to play the game that you're supposed to be playing with the rules that you're supposed to do. So whenever I
Which
work with
is, let me just clarify. So you're saying you got to invite everybody in. You've got to treat everybody like they're a builder, and you see who rises to the top. You don't get to jump over. It's not some magical wand you get to wave, and all of a sudden you're only looking for the builders.
Yeah. And that's a big issue. And you'll see top leader after top leader. The thing about most good people that are good at sales are actually homegrown more often than they are picked up. So you'll see all great companies, they grow them from entry level because they're grown with values and product conviction, where if you bring in someone without those things, it's a problem. That's not really the point of this. The point is that when I look at people's paychecks, we'll monitor a number called number of active builders. How many builders this month enrolled at least one person?
Mm-hmm.
And you will see trends that if someone only has 5, they're only making, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 a month. But if they have 100, they're making 30,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can actually control that number through our activity. So the game is, how many people can you have enroll at least one person?
Okay.
So those people, how they enroll one person really matters. They are not enrolling people by messaging people on social media. The mass of people, they're bumping into people, smelling of essential oils, bumping into them drinking a shake, bumping into them in whatever, right, experiencing this thing. And that's where the word of mouth starts.
Mm-hmm.
Then they help their sister's like, this is awesome. And they get their first check of $14 and they're like, what? And that's how a majority of the industry catches the whole thing.
Right.
So with the pandemic, our socialization patterns have become disrupted.
Interesting.
We're not bumping into people at the rates we used to bump into people. So I did some, I was like, why are there so many failure to launch problems? And the failure to launch problem is because people are like, I don't know anyone. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. But what they're using is the context. So in 2019, I started asking, would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert, Gail?
I'm an introverted extrovert.
Okay, so somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Ambivert. So prior to 2020, about how many people did you socialize with on a regular basis?
Prior to 2020. Well, I had a brick and mortar business back then, so it was much more social.
That's fine. Just what's the number?
On a regular base, like on a weekly basis, on a weekend, 20, 30 people. Yeah.
How many?
A week, 20, 30 people a week.
Okay. And now?
5.
Okay. So this holds when I ask almost everyone. So the extroverts went from 50 to about 10 to 15. Mm-hmm. And the introverts went from 5 to 1.
Yeah.
And so this disruption in socialization patterns makes it, creates a lead gen problem.
Yes.
Now, and it's just the really committed people that will overcome that. And so what I think the solution is, because that's going to be your next question. First, you have to understand, what is the problem?
Yes.
The problem is lead flow has squished
and changed
without us noticing it.
Yeah.
For a few years. So when you lose leads for 2 years, 3 years, and then now people aren't as social as they used to be, you have to find the gatherers.
Yes.
So the gatherers still exist. So every 10 people I would ask, they were like 50 and 50. They did not change their socialization patterns, or they changed and they went right back into it.
Okay.
And so what we have to do is we have to find the gatherers. Who are the gatherers? There are gatherers in every community who have continued to gather. There is an opportunity for us to become gatherers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think about my daughter's basketball team. There's a family on that team. They are still gathering. They're like, everybody, Friday night, come over. We'll have the pool party, and there's 50 people there.
Yeah.
Every weekend or every other weekend. And then there's the challenge that we need to have as individuals to be the change we want to see in our community. We need to heal our communities through gathering, whatever that looks like, through being inclusive. In American culture, different than Indian culture, Indians invite themselves over. I'm Indian, those of you on audio. But in American culture, you won't come unless you're invited.
Right.
And then reassured that I'm not just inviting you to be nice.
Right.
So we have an opportunity as leaders of our community to be includers, to be the gatherers that our communities need. So that's the second thing. Find the gatherers, be the gatherer. And then the third one is business collaborations. Businesses will always have an audience, and businesses are very mission centric. And so when you guys are aligned on mission, then they will do things like invite you into their community. They will share that mission with their clientele or customers because they're like, this is a need that people have, and I want to make sure my people have it.
Yeah.
And so being a little bit more strategic about what's happening. Most of the leaders that I see that are doing well right now have a business collaboration component for sure.
Okay. Well,
They're
that's
partnering with gyms or chiropractors or massage therapists or just anyone that aligns with whatever their mission is. And some of them don't launch, and some of them just really take off because it makes a lot of sense. I was talking to my friend who's a life coach yesterday. She's really successful. And she's like I don't know. I don't know the actual number, but I started counting when she was telling me about her thing. So it got to be at least 3 to 4 million is what she's pulling in per year. And she's like, oh, and yeah, by the way, I pull in about $10,000 with this network marketing thing that I don't even try. And it's because this person has operated in a business collaboration with my friend who, because of her massive audience, and she just is like, yeah, and this is what I take for my problem. She is making $10,000 a month and has 15 builders under her. She doesn't even try.
Yeah.
So I think those are the 3 things I see in network marketing.
Yeah, powerful, so powerful. All right, so let's get into this sales conversation. So, one of the things that we learned from your training, that there is the skills that I think that, what was surprised me is my clients who were in that training, they're not rookies to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
They're not rookies to direct sales and network marketing. They're not rookies to moving into coaching or whatever they're doing. They're familiar. They've dealt a lot with their mindsets around sales and all of that. But it's the process that you're teaching and understanding that there is buyer psychology, and that there's so much more going on in the sales process, but that you just talk about some of your highlights there. I'm not expecting you to go into the course, but just talk about some of the things that in your course. How about when people work with you, what would you say are the top maybe 2 or 3, like, whoa, Tasha, that was a game changer for me?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I want to give a little context when I give these tips and let people know I am not a natural. You are listening to this and hearing me teach after 24 years. But what I built my sales career off of being able to read and smile, and was really grateful to have access to very high quality sales training in 2 different careers, companies that really invested a lot into the detail of this. So because of this, I had to learn it in a detailed way. One of my jokes is when I started my corporate job and I was working with a trainer there, she's like, here's what you leave on the message. And I did the message and she just starts laughing hysterically. And I was like, what? She's like, you didn't leave their phone number. And I was like, what? She's like, how are they going to call you back? You didn't leave the phone number. And I looked at my script. I was like, it's not in the script. And she's like, I
Right.
didn't think I needed to put your phone number in the script, but that is how
Yeah.
like literal my brain is when it
Yep.
comes to how to do things. So that's just an example of like, I am not a natural. And so when I learned this, I had to learn it at the detailed level because my intuition didn't take me there.
Mm,
So if you're a lot of sales training and network marketing is very like, just talk to people. It's intuitive. You know what to do. But most people are like, right?
right.
So the two or three things that I think are the most, it's usually the appointment setting approach.
Okay.
That's the one that changes it. And so when people are interested in the product or the service, most people respond with some sort of, they'll call it vomit. I would not be, they'll be like, bleh, right? And the person walks away. And so what we teach is we're like, we need to build trust, compassion, stability, and hope. And we need to look at why don't people set up appointments? Well, they don't know what you're going to cover. They don't know if they're going to get trapped there. They're not sure if you're going to make them buy or apply pressure. And so it's awkward. And so they move away. And so what we do is we pre-handle all of those objections by what we say.
Mhm.
So we pre-handle the objections by saying, usually what I do is set up a time to go over this, that, the other thing. If you want to buy something, great. If not, no big deal. My part takes about 30 minutes. Is that something you're open to? And we gain consent. We have an agenda. We give them a time frame. These are all addressing the objections we know they're going to have. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me every day of my career. Shame on me. So I think the usually approach is by far the thing that, I mean, now it's a verb. They're like, I just usually them.
I
And
usually
that's
them. I
cool.
love it. I
That's
usually them.
cool to
Yeah.
have to know that people in their phones have a shortcut that say usually,
Yes.
and then it puts out their invite, and how powerful that has been for everyone because it is professional. It can be easily memorized, but it doesn't feel like a script.
Yes.
Um, and so they really, really love that. I
I
think,
want to share real quick on that, and this is just a total confession. And I'm working with Tasha. She's gonna get a big kick out of this. So I had a recent offer, and it was very warm. I wasn't doing a sales page. I wasn't marketing on social media about it. It was something kind of off to the side, a beta thing I wanted to try out. I was only going to open about 8 spots. And I reached out to my warm market, not my current high ticket clients because they're already engaged with me, but people who really aren't have bought in the past or have bought very low ticket. So I reached out to them and I gave them some information, but I made the classic mistake of giving them too much information.
yeah.
And so what I want everyone to hear what Tasha's saying, that most people respond to her training, they're like, oh my gosh, that was so life-changing, is we just want to give enough to create there's some curiosity, right? Either from
Yeah.
a post or something that's happened, you've created some curiosity, and then you go to this method of bringing them to a conversation where you're going to build trust. And I didn't do that. So then when I went back, I did, and then I got a couple sales when I went to the phone call.
Yeah. As soon as you move to the conversation,
Yes.
and, and this is something that I'll say that we didn't touch upon earlier about the conversation is two issues in network marketing. One, the lead problem. Second, the retention problem.
Mhm.
So why are checks dropping? Why is the retention low? Well, if you were acquired as a client through the DMs, it's a transactional relationship instead of a transformational relationship.
Write that
So
down,
I
ladies.
do a conversation with you. I'm going to say, here's what I'm going to give an agenda. I'm going to ask questions like, talk to me about, let's use health and wellness as an example. Talk to me about your health goals for you and your family. What else? What else? What else? How would solving those problems increase your overall quality of life? Why is now a good time to move forward? What do you already know about whatever my company is? Then we're going to transition into the company story, features and benefits and stuff. So if you don't have that conversation, you're not actually discussing a transformation. You don't have that emotional connection to your client. They're
Yes.
just buying something,
Yes.
right? So now on social media, it's like, I was this way and now I'm this way. Want this stuff? Sure, I want this stuff because I have a lot of disposable income. I have a stimulus checks and right, I have all this disposable income, and there isn't that actual conversation. And that actual conversation massively impacts retention and builder upgrades
Mm.
because of what people want in a leader is trust, compassion, stability, and hope.
Hmm.
And in a DM, you can't do that. I'm not saying none of it ever works. I'm just
Right.
saying, as a general, as a standard operating procedure, what
Yeah.
you've seen, what we saw in our business when we were selling by chat, and this is held for a lot of people, is a decrease in retention.
Yes.
And when you sit with someone one on one and you're like, talk to me about what's really important to you when it comes to your health, the amount of trust that you build in that conversation, it's like, do you want this kit or that kit? Okay, let's set up another conversation and we'll make your wish list and I'll show you how to save money. And they're like, okay, cool, I'm with you on this. You're able to lead.
Yes.
And then you establish yourself as a leader in which they're like, oh, I can maybe do this.
Hmm.
And so when you're just selling stuff in the DMs
Yeah.
without acknowledging that this is a transformation, this is a lifestyle change, not
Yeah.
a product you're selling,
Mhm.
you'll see income dramatically affected because the long term is like, I want $100,000 people ordering $100,
Hmm.
and I want them to do that while I'm asleep.
Hmm.
And so you need really good customer retention and you need a lot of builder upgrades,
Hmm.
which you're just not seeing when you're just selling a shake in the DMs.
Yeah. It's so interesting too, because I feel like the lie is that, um, but if I leave the DMs and I start the calls, it's going to take too much time. It's going to be too hard. It's my intimacy level, my fear of rejection now has just gone a lot higher because now I'm going to be face to face with them. And if I get rejected there, that's going to hurt a lot more than if I just get rejected in the DM. But so I'll just stay in the DM where it's safe and I don't have to spend as much time on phone calls. But the truth is, everything that you're saying, your sales are going to go up because of the call, because of the emotional connection, because you're asking them the question. So it's now a transformational, not a transaction.
Yeah.
And your retention's going to be better. They're going to be more inclined to want to do what you're doing if they didn't just, sign up. Here's the product link, right, and drop it in the DM. So we think the lie is that this is easier when the reality is the easier path is the phone call.
Oh, okay. Now you just baited me into a thing. Raise your hand right now if you would like to be tied to your phone all day, every day.
No.
That is what the chat lifestyle is.
Mm.
I think most of us can appreciate the fact that our kids hate our phones. Why do they hate our phones? Because we're not doing an appointment structure,
Mm.
right? If we're just like, hey, I gotta go hang out with my kids. How about we just hop on and have an actual human to human conversation tomorrow? Usually what I do is XYZ,
Yeah.
right? They might say no, but they might say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about this morning when I was doing like my journal / prayers, and I was like, yeah, this whole rejection thing, a direct ask. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, would you like to order this kit and get this thing today? Has the highest level of acceptance
Wow.
and the highest level of rejection.
Mm-hmm. How are
A
both
message that,
possible?
well, because when I have a 60% closing percentage, or our clients typically have 60. I talked to Sheila this morning. She's like, oh, I used just what I learned in your free webinar. And I told her it was so easy. And I sold a huge skincare kit. And I was like, whoa. And so our average client has a 60 to 80% closing rate on appointments.
Mm.
So that saves a ton of time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then now I'm not tied to any of it. Now I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah, sorry, I jumped in on you because I was asking, you said the direct ask.
Oh, the direct ask. Okay, so I'm going to get 60% yeses
Yes.
and 40% no thanks, not for
Okay.
me.
All right.
If I just do DMs, most people are just going to disappear. So I
Right.
might get 10% yeses, 10% no's, 80%
Ghost.
ghosts.
Yep.
So highest acceptance and highest direct rejection rate. But all the things I was really just thinking about this a lot this weekend, specifically after the training that we did. All of the things that have made us successful have high rejection rates.
Hmm.
We are not in a position to avoid direct rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And we certainly do not have a faith that is like, you know what? Avoid direct rejection.
No,
This is not a theology conference right now,
no.
but the God I follow is not like, I'm going to back off because I
Right.
don't want to be. So even in the whole what would Jesus do concept, he's like, run right in.
Exactly.
Um,
Have the relationship, build the trust.
but the things that are the highest rejection rates are the things that make you the most profitable.
Yeah.
How about this one? I don't want to make any assumptions. Would you like to know how to earn income or free product with blank company? Direct ask. It works half the time. You get a recruiting conversation from it. Do you know anyone else there's someone that I should meet with? That's how I met you. That was the laziest referral ask, but it was direct. Anyone else you think I should know? That's how we met.
Yep.
I don't want to make assumptions, or no, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, would you like to buy this thing? Would you like to move forward? I did webinar follow-up and I'm like, out of curiosity, are you planning on moving forward? I get direct rejections all the time.
Yeah.
But I also know asking, are you planning on moving forward gives me a 20% statistical increase in closing percentage.
Wow.
So I'm going to do it
Yes.
because I believe in what I have and what I'm doing. And I'm going to
There,
set my
there.
ego down.
Yes.
Because avoiding rejection is all about ego preservation.
Amen. It's all about us, all about us.
It's not, it never comes from a place of service.
Mhm.
It never comes from a place of being other-centered. However, things like buffers, out of curiosity is a buffer. I don't
Yes.
want to make assumptions is a buffer. Buffers are essential, so it's not blunt.
Yes.
There's this Bible verse. The one I'm thinking of is something about the sword thrusts. What's the one about the sword thrusts?
Oh,
It's the Proverbs. It's a proverb. Thrust. I'm gonna look it up. There's one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing.
healing. Proverbs
So
12:18.
there we go. So there's a way to make direct offers that feels like a sword thrust. And so many people are rightfully not making direct offers because they intuitively know it is not right. But the option isn't make a direct offer and do a sword thrust, or don't ever make direct offers,
All
right?
right.
Humans
Yeah.
are binary thinkers.
Yes.
The correct answer is the third way. And the third way is make a direct option offer with
Buffer.
a buffer.
With a buffer. I love
Out
it.
of curiosity, I don't want to make any assumptions. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't do this.
That's 3 buffers she just gave you, ladies.
3 buffers. Even if you're doing a sales appointment with your sister, you can be like, you're my sister and I feel weird, so I'm just going to read this. Is that okay? Is a buffer. It allows you to make.
I'd love your opinion on this. Yeah, I value your opinion. I'd love your opinion on this.
Yeah, I don't know. That one scares me. Because sometimes when you ask opinion, they're like, I will give you all the critical feedback that. So if you're comfortable with that one, go for it. If
Yeah.
you're not, I'd be scared to ask that.
Well, Tasha, this is amazing. I want you to, so we've talked about the trends in the industry. You mentioned, some big ones. We've talked about, some key things. And the top thing really that people talk about is the biggest win that you give them is moving people from curiosity to the phone, not to a DM link, because it's going to lower your retention. It's going to lower your relationship. It's going to lower your joy in the sale. If you move it to the relationship, right? And you're asking the questions and you're on the phone, it's a win for both of you. And then just detaching from this no. The no isn't, you're not an orphan. You're a daughter of the king. The no is not some big rejection of you. It's just where they are. Give compassion, let go of the outcome, but do the ask
Yes.
with the buffer. This has been so good.
Yay. Woo!
Yeah, so
Well,
good.
good questions. Your questions are so good.
Well, I'm just thinking of what they'd be wanting to ask you, and I'm sure if we had longer, they'd be asking you so many more things. But I'd love for you to talk about now. I know you're going to have down in the show notes. There's going to be a freebie that they can get from you. So tell us about that. Tell us about whatever you've got coming up that they can how they
Sure.
can connect with you. All those good things.
Yeah. Is it okay if I give 2 freebies? I just thought about this.
Of course, they'll love it.
So I did write a book. It's pretty good. I'm like, do I have a copy nearby? Probably somewhere. I don't know. Customer first book. It's built on the whole concept. Customer first, team second, ego third.
Mm,
You can get it on Amazon, but we can also get you a free copy. So we'll drop a link for the free book. That one's specifically for network marketing. Now, if you're not in network marketing and you read it, they're just the examples in there are on network marketing. The leadership section is specific to that, but the other 3 of the 4 sections will be useful for coaches as well.
yeah.
And then we also have a handout that is the 36 questions that create clients. And we have questions. I know Gail already taught you guys this, but it's not what you tell people, it's what you ask. And what we really want to be able to do is ask certain questions so they convince themselves to buy.
Yes.
So the technical details like temperature checks, developmental questions, they're not really hard
Mhm.
to do, and they're really intuitive once you have the list. But I think most of us are like, can you just give me a little bit more detail? I'm tired of winging it.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
like it's winging it is so stressful because you have no idea. And so you can download the 36 questions as well. Both of those options will invite you to our email list. We'll keep you in the loop on stuff. But we're doing a sales conversation workshop in October. That's the one we're on. So let me think about what's the best way for them to connect with us. Maybe the Convert Your Leads Facebook group and give you that link.
Good.
You can join our Facebook group and then you'll get all the information on all the things that we have going in
Awesome.
real time. Because they might listen to this a year from now,
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So I
Well,
think
I
the
love it.
Facebook.
They're going to get the book, and I love those questions. That sounds so powerful. It's you know, when people reveal, if we ask questions, all we're doing is helping them to reveal that they want what we have. They're doing it on their own. It's just inviting them to state that. No, it doesn't. It's not always,
No,
but
of course not.
often, if they've gotten to the point where they're having the conversation with you, they're probably pretty interested in what you have.
Yeah,
So it's really that approach, not thrusting the sword, and building that relationship. So this is wonderful.
cool. Yay. I'm glad you're
Awesome.
happy.
Any parting words of wisdom that you want to give?
Can I tell a story about my daughter?
Please.
So one of the things so I feel like I've accomplished my life's mission in my older daughter, but let me explain. So everyone always says, you even talked about the word salesy
Mhm.
and how everyone's like, without being salesy, without being salesy. And I'm like, what does that even mean? It's a made up word. And I get really like heated about this word salesy because we've, as a culture, basically said sales equals bad.
Right. True.
I was like, my mission in life is to literally change the definition of the word salesy so that when people say, oh, that person is so salesy, it means they're kind and caring and have good listening skills and empowering.
Love it.
Like, what if we could change the definition? So my older daughter, Zoe, she's a freshman in high school. She proofreads our emails because you don't want 2 sales managers to send out emails without a nerd reading them. So she catches all of our typos, or most of them at least. And she said something about the email. She's like, yeah, your emails are just so salesy. And I was like, where did you hear that word first? Because I don't use it.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, what does that mean to you when you hear the word salesy? And she's like, really helpful and good at selling. And I was like, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And so what I want to encourage you is stop saying stuff that makes being good at sales being bad at humaning.
Wow.
Redefine the
Yeah.
word salesy,
Yes.
because one of the biggest challenges we get is what our culture has done to the word salesy
Yeah.
has made it like, I can't get good at this because then I'll be a bad human.
Right.
And that's not true. There is another verse in Proverbs that says, blessed is the man who sells.
Yes. Yes.
So,
We don't want to be
um,
the sword thruster.
sword thrust.
You know,
It's
we don't
about
want
your
to.
communication. Yeah.
One of my first lead magnets, Tasha, was a book called a digital book called Every. Do you remember? Did you ever the child potty training book when your kids were little? Everybody poops. Did you guys ever have that
I
book?
didn't get that one, but I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay, so I literally got this download from the Holy Spirit and I was just cracking up. I'm like, I'm really going to turn this into a book. I can't believe I'm going to turn this into a book. So I got on Canva and I made this book it was everybody poops with a big line through the poop emoji and it was everybody sells.
Yeah.
And you turn the page and it'd be like the pastor sells, you know,
Oh yeah.
the nurse sells, the teacher sells, the lawyer sells, and it kept going through, and the idea that it's about a win-win transaction. Sales is
Correct.
sacred.
100%.
It's sacred when you are coming at it from a heart posture of a
Yeah.
win-win and to serve and to love and you let go of the outcome. The only time we get into salesy mode is when the focus is on us and we're
Mhm.
thrusting the sword.
Yep. Or we don't know better and we do it on accident,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
Somebody says do a direct offer and we do a sword thrust because we just don't know any better.
Yes.
It is likely that most people are in fact applying pressure, but mostly because they don't know how to properly do buffers or gain agreement questions, or a
Yeah.
lot of the things that you teach and a lot of the things that we teach is it just cleans it up. So you're not
Yeah.
actually, just even the term you should blah, 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 like that's pressure. We just
Yeah.
need to take that word out of the vocabulary, right?
Yeah. You know,
So
I want everyone to know I brought Tasha in. I have been in sales my whole life. I've walked across stages for sales in my life, but I have not learned. I had to humble myself and realize that this is not, the sales techniques, buyer psychology and sales techniques, it's more intuitive with me. But I
mhm,
don't it is not something I really teach. And I wanted my clients. I know this is something where we can grow and be so much more kingdom minded and have a really healthy relationship with sales. And I just want to honor you because I really feel like
thank
that's
you.
what you guys are doing. You're helping women, especially, have a healthy relationship with sales. And it's another lie to cast off, right? We can have sales in the kingdom is win-win, you know?
100%. Well said, Gail.
Well, well, thank you so much for being here. And guys, you're going to love the links that you got below to connect with Tasha. Regardless of when, you're going to have that book, you're going to have the questions, get on our email list and get in our Facebook group. All right. And you'll be blessed by any of the things you attend with her. So see you soon.